the extreme and ultimate violence of wiping out an entire race, I guess you'd say. You know, that's how these people operate, is through violence. You know, I think of the great sort of social movements and wins throughout time, and probably the most profound are the nonviolent movements of Gandhi or Dr. Martin Luther King in the United States, which is probably the biggest significant political win, certainly in my country's history, and it was without bloodshed. And you know, that's sort of reflected in, I think that's probably the most powerful tool, especially when you're dealing with state violence, which is awesome, overwhelming, and extreme. What do we have but the power of people? And what is at the basis of that power is our love for each other. And I think what Bong is, you know, and Nisha's love for Mickey is a representative of that kind of power. And it's a power that's much bigger than the state, because for every one of them, there's hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of us. And we can't forget that power. And that's how we ultimately win. And the way they make us afraid or they dominate us is through division. And in the end, it's so beautiful because the people aren't looking for the spotlight. We're trying to live our lives and be with our families, and he says the most amazing thing is like, okay, why don't you introverts come and sit in the front? You know? Which to me is like, that's what it's all about. It's the people who aren't at the front, aren't here, aren't in the camera and all that. Those are the people who are the most important people, who actually make the change. And I love that line. That killed me. I was like, yes, that's what we need. But it takes time for us because we're, as a group, we're very gentle. We don't want that kind of conflict. We don't want to have to deal with that. So it's very slow to rise up. But once it does, it's awesome and it cannot be beaten. And that's what we see in the film. Ultimately, that structure of violence crumbles.